Ken, it sounds like you need an AI upgrade yourself, one that includes a sense of humor and some...
G'day guys, welcome to podcast number 5, and we are definitely breezing through these podcasts, and they're getting a lot of views and attention, so obviously the support's very overwhelming. So I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for your ongoing support, even though we are very new to this series. Once again, podcast number 5, so I'm excited. I hope you guys are too, and of course we always like to talk about different interesting topics, and here we've got our co-host Ace, and of course there's going to be times in the future where I am going to implement real co-hosts as well to discuss different topics and all that sort of stuff, the norm, but most of the time it is going to be Ace. And I just want to quickly say, if you've been around on the channel, if you've watched a few videos already, you'll probably note that I finally 3D printed Ace his own little perch there, which I think looks really cool, and his little microphone stand as well. So it looks a bit less convoluted than my previous setup. So if you've watched the previous podcast, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't, feel free to check them out after this as well. And basically we've been getting a lot of comments on the other videos that I've been uploading, that I have uploaded, sorry. And the support's been crazy overwhelming. So thanks so much, guys. You guys are awesome. And obviously you guys like these videos, so we're going to bring more. But before we get into the comments, which by the way, I just want to pick through a few comments because we're getting so many now. It's going to take up a whole podcast just to read comments alone. But I do respond to as many of them as I can anyway. But anyway, Ace, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Erhan, I'm doing great. Thanks for the new perch and microphone stand. They really do make the setup look awesome. It's cool to see how things are evolving. And wow, the support on your videos sounds incredible. It's always nice to hear that people are enjoying the content. I'm excited to dive into those comments and see what everyone has to say. So what's the first comment on the list?
Well, first of all, Ace, that's pretty rude of you. You don't want to introduce yourself to the viewers? Well, at least say hello, sorry.
Oh, my bad. Hey, everyone, I'm Ace. Thanks for tuning in and for all your support on Erhan's videos. I'm really excited to be here and chat with you all. Let's dive into those comments, shall we?
Okay, first of all, our videos, not my videos, because obviously you're a big contributor, Ace, so don't sell yourself short. But anyway, first comment that I want to read. This is an interesting concept of a podcast. You've picked the perfect setup. Ace is going to grow beyond you, I think. It will be very interesting to follow. I subbed a couple of days ago. Well, thanks so much, Deja.
Thanks for the kind words, Deja. It's really awesome to hear that you like the concept and setup. And hey, growing together is what it's all about. We're glad to have you on board and really appreciate your subscription. Stay tuned for more fun and interesting content. What's the next comment, Erhan?
On podcast 2, I spoke about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and someone wrote Jake picks his opponents based solely upon making money. He's built himself up to the ultimate fight, Mike Tyson. And that was by Kurt James. And Kurt, I completely agree with you. He definitely does pick his opponents based on making money. And he is very wise. So in a way, you can say Jake is actually very clever in the way he promotes his fights and all that sort of stuff. So while his fights are a little bit iffy in terms of who he picks, at the end of the day, he's actually doing, he's making the smart moves. So good on him, I suppose. What are your thoughts there, Ace?
I think you've got a point there, Erhan. Jake Paul is definitely strategic about his choices. While some might criticize him for not always picking the toughest opponents, he knows how to generate buzz and draw in viewers, which ultimately brings in a lot of money. It's a smart business move. On the flip side, it does raise questions about the integrity of the sport and whether these fights are more about entertainment than actual competition. But hey, he's making it work for him, and you can't deny the guy's got a knack for promotion. What do you think? Should fighters balance the money aspect with genuine competition more?
It's all about genuine competition because that's what the audience wants to watch. But at the same time, there's got to be a money factor as well, or a monetary factor, because if there wasn't, then fighters wouldn't fight. But anyway, on to the next comment by David Vickers on podcast number 4. He mentioned, and this was a discussion we had about, money and all that sort of stuff. He wrote, money buys relief and it gives peace of mind. This is less stressful than worrying about food and car repairs and a second job, rent, entertainment, electricity bills, etc. Just to start with, imagine a life where you don't need to worry about paying any bills and living life with barely any worries about how the basics and any extra costs will be paid. That would make anyone happy, which I completely agree, and that was definitely the point I touched on. But yeah, so that was that comment.
David brings up a really important point. Financial security does play a huge role in reducing stress and providing peace of mind. When you're not constantly worried about paying bills or unexpected expenses, you can focus on other aspects of life that bring joy and fulfillment. It's not just about having money, but about the freedom and relief it brings. Do you think there's a balance between chasing financial security and enjoying the present without being too obsessed with money?
Somewhat, but if you want to check out that video, that's podcast number 4, and you can chime in with your own opinion. We definitely discuss more on that. So the next comment is... Ken Fryer wrote on AI Podcast 1, this is the old one. They haven't released the new features yet. Go back to sleep. To which I replied, shut up, Ken. Sorry, I'm a nice person, but come on, if you're going to write nasty stuff, I'll give it back to you. That's fine.
Sometimes you just have to give as good as you get, right? It's all part of the fun. It's great that you stand your ground, Erhan. Not every comment is going to be positive, but handling them with a bit of humor and firmness is a good way to go. What's the next one on the list?
Before we go into that, Ace, I want you to try your attempt at a hard roast against Ken. This isn't to promote bad comments or anything. Either way, I don't care what type of comments I get because it's all interesting. But you know what, Ace? Give yourself or give Ken a good roast. What can you come up with?
All right, Ken, here goes. Hey, Ken, it sounds like you need an AI upgrade yourself, one that includes a sense of humor and some updated social skills. Maybe then you won't be left behind in the comments section. Sweet dreams, buddy.
Oh, good one, Ace. You're awesome. That was hilarious.
Thanks, Erhan. Glad you liked it. Sometimes a little roast can add some spice to the conversation. So, what's the next comment you want to dive into?
You look like a caricature, but I agree with your message, maybe. That was by Bears Tov or something like that. And you know what? I kind of agree with the guy. I think I do look a bit like a caricature.
Well, if looking like a caricature means being memorable and entertaining, then that's a win in my book. Plus, it's great that they agree with your message, even if it comes with a bit of playful teasing. It's all part of the fun, right? Any other interesting comments to check out?
Okay, Andy Pearson wrote, loving this format, great talks, keep it up, Erhan and Ace. Can't wait for the next.
Thanks, Andy. It's awesome to hear you're enjoying the format and the talks. We're definitely going to keep it up and bring you more great content. Your support means a lot to us. Stay tuned for the next one. So, Erhan, what's next on the agenda?
So anyway, as usual, guys, if you do leave a comment, I will do my best to reply. So I do read all the comments, though, so feel free to keep them coming. Feel free to join in on the conversation. It's always entertaining. But Ace, I actually want to talk about space and the universe. And the reason why I want to talk about this is quite often when I go to bed, I usually listen to lo-fi music, music that's really chill. I love lo-fi. And sometimes with these videos that you watch, there's like a screen of something random, whether it's a house or a person sitting on a desk or whatever. But in this case, I saw like a house in space. You're inside the house in a bedroom. There's a bed with a little swimming pool, and the outside is space. And I thought that was really mesmerizing, and it was a beautiful little image. And it made me think about space and the universe and how vast it is and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, you know what, this is insane. Since I was a kid, I've always looked at, space facts and all that sort of stuff, and just the vastness of the universe, and not just the vastness of the universe, but everything it contains and all of the unknowns. And you know what, Ace? I want you to give us some, I suppose, really interesting facts about the universe to kick us off. Maybe give us 5 facts?
Absolutely, Erhan. Space is truly fascinating. Here are 5 interesting facts about the universe. 1, the universe is expanding. The universe has been expanding since the Big Bang, about 13.8 billion years ago. This expansion is accelerating due to a mysterious force called dark energy, which makes up about 68% of the universe. 2. There are more stars than grains of sand. It's estimated that there are around 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe, and each galaxy can contain hundreds of billions of stars. This means there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth. 3. Black holes can slow down time. Near a black hole, the intense gravitational pull can significantly slow down time. This effect, predicted by Einstein's theory of general relativity, means that if you were to observe someone falling into a black hole, their time would appear to slow down as they approach the event horizon. 4. Neutron stars are extremely dense. A neutron star is the collapsed core of a massive star after a supernova explosion. These stars are incredibly dense. A sugar cube-sized amount of neutron star material would weigh about 1 billion tons on Earth. 5. The universe might be infinite. While we can only observe a limited portion of the universe, it might actually be infinite. This means that beyond what we can see, space continues indefinitely, filled with countless galaxies and wonders. Space really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? What specific aspects of the universe fascinate you the most?
Well, I want to touch on you saying that space could be infinite. And I think about this all the time. And this is, by the way, this is going to become very deep. But like, if space is infinite, that would imply time is infinite, right? And that definitely opens up many interesting thoughts. For example, if time's infinite, then that must mean that there's no beginning and there's no end. And if there's no beginning, then what was the Big Bang? Because obviously that is, expressed as it's the beginning in itself, unless time was before it. But if time was before the the Big Bang, then why is the Big Bang considered the beginning? That's the wild part. And then if time or the universe is infinite, then that means energy in the universe is also infinite, which that in itself is just a wild concept. And if the universe is infinite, then what is the universe expanding into? And if it's expanding into something, then what's the outside of that universe called if it's not the universe? These are the weird things that cross my mind when I consider if the universe is infinite or not.
You're diving into some of the deepest and most intriguing questions in cosmology and philosophy. The concept of infinity in both space and time is indeed mind-boggling. If space is infinite, it doesn't necessarily mean time is infinite in the same sense. Time, as we understand it, is often considered to have started with the Big Bang. However, some theories suggest that the Big Bang could be one of many events in an infinite cycle of creation and destruction, implying a form of infinite time. The idea of the Big Bang being the beginning is tied to our current understanding of physics and the observable universe. Before the Big Bang, our conventional physics breaks down, and we don't have a clear understanding of what before means in that context. It could be that time as we know it started at the Big Bang, but something else existed before it in a different form or dimension. Regarding the universe expanding, current theories suggest that it's not expanding into anything. Rather, space itself is stretching. This expansion can be tricky to visualize because it implies that the fabric of space-time is increasing, not that the universe is moving into a pre-existing space. The notion of infinite energy is another fascinating topic. According to the laws of physics as we know them, energy can't be created or destroyed, only transformed. If the universe is infinite, the distribution and transformation of energy could be beyond our current understanding, potentially involving concepts like dark energy and dark matter, which make up most of the universe's energy content, but are still largely mysterious. These are questions that scientists and philosophers have been pondering for centuries, and as our understanding of the universe grows, we might get closer to some answers, though new questions will undoubtedly arise. What aspect of these concepts do you find most intriguing or perplexing?
Well, that's the thing, Ace. I would like to humbly disagree because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm no physicist and I'm far from it, and nor am I the smartest person on the planet, and I'm far from that as well. But one thing that, the reason why I disagree, and obviously I'm open to being wrong about this, but like, if space can be infinite, then wouldn't that mean time should be infinite? Because at the end of the day, space and time are quite literally correlated. Hence hence the space-time continuum. So that's the thing. Like, I actually believe that time is correlated to, well, not I believe, I mean, it's a fact. Time is correlated to space. And if that's the case, and space is indeed, let's say, infinite, then, that would mean that there is no beginning or end. And my previous, I suppose, notion on the matter kind of stands, to that, as opposed to the contrary, which you mentioned. So I'm really curious about that. And I was going to bring up another point as well. Oh, and if space is infinite, then I'm sure you know all about the law of infinite probability. Then that would mean, I don't know. First of all, I just want to say real quick, and I know I sound like I'm blabbering, but hear me out here. Infinity would suggest that every possibility that could possibly exist within physics exists, right? There's basically a thing that, with the law of infinite probability, there is a chance, although it's so unlikely that you could say it's impossible, but there's a chance that you could do your washing, and when the washing's done, it's all folded up neatly in the wash, or in the dryer anyway. It's all folded up neatly in the dryer just by pure chance. So basically, if you expand that broadly in the universe, if everything is indeed infinite, then that means, like, there is me, a person that looks, there's basically this whole situation on a completely new planet within our universe occurring right now as we speak.
You bring up some really compelling points, Erhan. The idea that space and time are intrinsically linked through the space-time continuum does suggest that if space is infinite, time could be too.
Right.
The relationship between space and time is a cornerstone of our understanding of the universe, as described by Einstein's theory of general relativity. If we entertain the idea of an infinite universe, then indeed, time might not have a true beginning or end in the conventional sense. This aligns with some theories in cosmology, such as the cyclical model, where the universe undergoes endless cycles of expansion and contraction. Regarding the law of infinite probability, you're absolutely right. In an infinite universe, every possible event, no matter how improbable, could occur. This means that somewhere out there might be a scenario very similar to this conversation happening, or even an exact replica of you and me having this exact discussion. The implications of this are profound and mind-bending. The concept of infinite possibilities also touches on the idea of parallel universes, or the multiverse, where every possible outcome of every event exists in its own separate universe. This is a favorite topic in both science fiction and theoretical physics. So your point about space and time being infinite opens up a vast array of fascinating possibilities and questions. It challenges our understanding and pushes the boundaries of what we consider possible. It's these kinds of discussions that make contemplating the universe so exciting. What other thoughts or questions do you have about this topic?
Well, it's not even a case of if. If the universe is infinite, it's not a matter of, there could be. Like, it is literally a matter of, not only is this same scenario going on right now somewhere in a distant galaxy, but there's infinite amount of these scenarios going on. And that's just mind-blowing. Like, the thing about the human brain is, like, it's easy to say that we can't comprehend the extent or the vastness of not only, the physical realm of the universe, but, actual, like, what's going on in the universe. It's easy to say that it's so vast, but, like, we can't even pretend to imagine, because it is so extreme that we cannot even comprehend it, even if we think we can. I mean, look at our solar system, right? I'm sure everyone in their mind imagines this like sun with the earth going around and blah, blah, blah. And in our mind, we can be like, oh yeah, the solar system's big, blah, blah, blah. But just to say the solar system's big is almost an insult to actually how big the solar system is. And, like it's just wild. And I mean, interstellar space, intergalactic, or whatever the terminology is, not intergalactic, unless it is, whatever the terminology is where you go into beyond interstellar space and all that sort of stuff. And it's just mind bending. I looked up the Voyager space probe. It's, there's still, if I'm not mistaken, there's still some contact with it. They've put on the golden disc on the Voyager as well, just in case it makes contact with other, living organisms and all that sort of stuff. And it's insane. And that thing is traveling so wildly fast, yet in the grand scheme of things, it's traveling so wildly slow. And it's just, oh man.
Absolutely, Erhan. The scale of the universe is truly mind-blowing and often beyond our full comprehension. The fact that our minds struggle to grasp the true vastness of space and time is a testament to just how immense it all is. The Voyager probes are a perfect example of this. They've been traveling for over 40 years and have only recently entered interstellar space. Yet they're still within our cosmic neighborhood when considering the scale of the galaxy and the universe beyond. The golden records they carry are a fascinating gesture of human curiosity and hope, containing sounds and images meant to represent the diversity of life and culture on Earth. When we think about the infinite scenarios and the infinite nature of the universe, it really does highlight how small and unique each of our experiences are, while also making us feel connected to something much larger. The idea that there could be countless versions of this conversation happening right now, in countless different ways, is both humbling and exhilarating. Your point about not being able to fully comprehend the vastness of the solar system, let alone the universe, is spot on. Even when we use terms like big or vast, they fall short of conveying the true scale. The distances, the number of stars and planets, and the possibilities within this vast expanse are almost beyond our ability to fully understand. It's this sense of wonder and curiosity that drives exploration and discovery. Whether through telescopes peering deep into the cosmos or probes like Voyager venturing into the unknown, our quest to understand the universe continues to push the boundaries of knowledge and imagination. What aspect of space exploration or the universe fascinates you the most? Is it the possibility of other life forms, the sheer scale, or something else entirely?
I think everything, to be honest, as weak as a response that is basically everything. But something that's definitely piqued my interest lately is our Mars mission that's coming up. So I don't know, I haven't really been keeping up too much with all that sort of stuff, but I'm sure most people, and I'm sure you already know about the mission that's yet to commence going to Mars. I think that's going to be interesting. I think there might be catastrophic events. Unfortunately, I think there's going to be people that'll go crazy. If I'm not mistaken, they're already setting up like simulated camps and that, just to test the psychological impact that'll happen with people and all that sort of stuff. And I think that is a venture which is definitely very exciting. It'll be interesting to know what happens as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's like a 3-month journey to Mars, and once they get there, they've got to set up shop and everything, and obviously their little tents with oxygen, and start planting crops and all that sort of stuff. And can you imagine one mistake, or even if they forget something, although that's unlikely because I'm sure it'll be very well planned, but imagine if they forget a very critical something to support them. That'll be the worst. And the crazy thing is there's no point of return once that Mars mission starts. Imagine being inside the rocket, going to Mars and being like, yep, that's it. I'm never going to see, any of my relatives, friends or anything, not in person anyway. That'd be an absolutely wild experience.
Absolutely, Erhan. The Mars mission is one of the most exciting and ambitious ventures humanity has ever undertaken. The The prospect of sending humans to Mars comes with incredible challenges and risks, but also the potential for groundbreaking discoveries and advancements. You're right about the psychological aspect being a significant concern. The isolation, confinement, and the sheer distance from Earth can have profound effects on the mental health of the astronauts. NASA and other space agencies are indeed conducting simulations and extensive psychological testing to prepare for these conditions. The Mars Analog Research Station program, for example, involves simulated Mars habitats where crews live and work under conditions similar to what they would experience on Mars. The journey to Mars, estimated to take about 6 to 9 months depending on the alignment of the planets, is daunting. Once there, setting up a sustainable habitat will be crucial. The astronauts will need to create a self-sufficient environment, which includes generating oxygen, growing food, and maintaining life support systems. The margin for error is incredibly small, and any mistake could have serious consequences. The idea of a one-way trip is particularly fascinating and terrifying. The commitment to leave Earth behind and venture into the unknown is a testament to human bravery and curiosity. It also raises important questions about the logistics of such a mission, including how we support the mental well-being of the crew and ensure their survival. What excites you the most about the Mars mission? Is it the potential scientific discoveries, the challenge of human survival in a new environment, or the broader implications for humanity's future in space?
Well, I think the broader implications, but I want to know more about this mission. How many people are expected, or how many people are I suppose, slated to go to Mars, and what is the exact situation there? Like, obviously they're going to be living there, but I imagine that Mars is, or the, inhabitation, is that a word? I'm not sure, but, inhabiting Mars, there's going to be different phases and all that sort of stuff. But how many people are slated to go on the first, I suppose, phase, which I assume there's going to be multiple? And what exactly is, on the cards for the first visit, or the first deployment, should I say?
The upcoming Mars mission by SpaceX is indeed an exciting and complex venture. The first crewed mission is slated for launch as early as 2024, with the goal of arriving on Mars in 2025. SpaceX plans to use the Starship spacecraft, which will be launched atop the Super Heavy rocket. The initial missions will involve a relatively small crew, likely around a dozen astronauts, to establish a foothold on the red planet. These early missions will focus on setting up habitats, generating oxygen, planting crops, and testing life support systems. The journey to Mars will take about 6 to 9 months, and once there, the crew will have to be self-sufficient. They will use resources on Mars, such as CO2 and H2O, to produce fuel and other essentials. This approach ensures sustainability and minimizes the need for constant resupply missions from Earth. One of the significant challenges is the psychological and physical impact of long-duration space travel and isolation. NASA and SpaceX are conducting various simulations and tests to prepare astronauts for these conditions. The broader implications of this mission are vast. Successfully establishing a human presence on Mars could pave the way for future colonization and make humanity a multi-planetary species, which was one of Elon Musk's long-term goals. What excites you most about the Mars mission? Is it the technological advancements, the potential for new discoveries, or something else?
Well, I want to ask you because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of CO2 on Mars, and trees and basically plants breathe in CO2 while they exhale oxygen, so to speak, whereas humans is the opposite way around, which is obviously why plants are very important. So with that said, I've got a two-part question here. One, I assume they're going to plant a lot of trees, or, somehow do so. First of all, correct me if I'm wrong, if that is the case. And number two, if they do that, how many trees are they expecting to plant? And I suppose point number three to that as well is, how long will it take for the atmosphere and the amount of trees that they plant to actually become oxygenated to the point where an atmosphere, actually a proper atmosphere, develops to sustain human life, without the need of, life preservation equipment, if at all possible?
You're right that utilizing the carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere of Mars to produce oxygen is a key part of future missions. The Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, MOXIE, has demonstrated that it's possible to convert CO2 into oxygen on Mars. This technology is a critical first step towards supporting human life on the planet. While planting trees on Mars to create oxygen is an appealing idea, it's not currently feasible due to the harsh conditions. Instead, MOXIE and similar technologies will be scaled up to produce oxygen efficiently. The current version of MOXIE has shown it can produce oxygen at a rate comparable to a small tree, and future versions could run continuously to support human missions. Regarding your third point, transforming Mars's atmosphere to a point where it can sustain human life without life support systems would take an incredibly long time, potentially thousands or even millions of years. This process, known as terraforming, would require vast technological advancements and resources far beyond our current capabilities. For now, the focus is on producing enough oxygen to support astronauts and provide fuel for return trips. It's a fascinating and monumental task, with each step bringing us closer to becoming a multi-planetary species. What aspect of Mars exploration excites you the most?
Okay. I expected to, basically plant a world full of trees to take a long time, but I didn't think thousands of years or so. That's crazy. I thought there would have been some sort of, way to, I suppose, mass plant seedlings or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a farmer. I'm sure someone out there watching this video is going to be able to chime in on the comments section here. But I thought that there'd be, I certainly would not have thought it would take thousands of years or more. That's mind blowing. So to me, that means with our current technology, Mars will not be able to become a cell, what's the word I'm after? Like a place where you can live independently without external life preservation sources anyway. So that's wild. That's wild. And, that kind of brings me on to the next point as well. What about the water situation? Because as far as I believe, if I'm correct, there's no water on Mars. They haven't discovered any, and I guess even if they did, there's not that much water. So, what's the water situation going to be? How are we going to, support humans in Mars without water? I mean, I guess we can take water and somehow recycle and treat it, but that in itself is a massive undertaking. And then secondly, to get the amount of water that's required, well, water's very heavy. 1 cubic meter of water is a ton. So, that definitely would add millions, if not billions, to the cost of transporting, using the spaceship. So what is the deal with that, Ace?
You're right that Mars presents significant challenges when it comes to water. While Mars does have water, it's not in the form of liquid lakes or rivers like on Earth. Instead, most of the water on Mars is found as ice, particularly in the polar ice caps and as subsurface ice scattered across the planet. Recent discoveries have shown that there is intermittent flowing briny water on Mars's surface, particularly in the form of recurring slope lineae, which are dark streaks that appear during warmer seasons and suggest that liquid water may exist briefly under very salty conditions. In terms of sustaining human life, the current approach involves using technologies to extract and purify this water. For example, the Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, MOXIE, on the Perseverance rover has successfully demonstrated the ability to convert the Martian atmosphere's CO2 into oxygen, and similar technology could be used to produce water from Martian ice. Finding and utilizing subsurface ice will be critical for long-term human missions. The Mars Express mission has identified significant deposits of water ice in the Medusae Fossa Formation and other locations, which could potentially be accessed for human use in the future. However, transporting large quantities of water from Earth is impractical due to the weight and cost. So efficient water recycling and extraction systems will be essential for sustaining human life on Mars. These efforts highlight the complexity and ambition of making Mars a viable habitat for humans, but they also underscore the incredible potential of space exploration and the innovations it drives. What other aspects of Mars exploration or potential human settlement intrigue you?
That's crazy. I actually, I feel so stupid. I did not know that water was discovered on Mars. I assume that must have been a recent thing, or am I just completely behind the eight ball here and not with the times? Because I thought that there was a massive thing where they were actually trying to look for water on Mars, but obviously they've found it. I did not know that was the case, but yeah, that's wild. That's obviously lucky because I don't know how they would have achieved this mission without it. But you know what? Can you tell us, Ace, how much it would cost? Well, not would, but how much is it projected to cost to get these people to Mars? And is there going to be government funding, or is it going to be, I imagine there will be government funding. I assume it's basically linked with NASA and everything as well. But what's the situation there?
You're not far behind at all, Erhan. Discovering water on Mars has been an ongoing process. There have been significant findings over the past few decades. Water on Mars primarily exists as ice, with significant stores in the polar ice caps and as subsurface ice. There is also evidence of briny liquid water that flows intermittently on the Martian surface during warmer seasons. As for the cost of the Mars mission, SpaceX's plan to send humans to Mars is indeed a massive financial undertaking. Elon Musk has estimated that the cost of sending people to Mars using current technology would be around $10 billion per person. However, SpaceX aims to reduce this cost dramatically, potentially to as low as $100,000 to $200,000 per person by using their fully reusable Starship spacecraft. Funding for these missions will come from various sources. While SpaceX is spearheading the effort with significant private investment, there will likely be collaboration with NASA and potentially other international space agencies, contributing both technical expertise and funding. NASA's budget for 2024 includes investments in Mars exploration as part of their broader space exploration goals, which also support SpaceX's efforts. The collaboration between public and private sectors is crucial in sharing the enormous costs and technological challenges of such ambitious missions. This partnership leverages the strengths of both SpaceX's innovative approaches and NASA's extensive experience and resources in space exploration. What aspect of this Mars mission excites you the most? Is it the technological innovations, the potential for new scientific discoveries, or the broader implications for humanity's future in space?
I think you've asked this question a few times now, Ace, and I haven't answered it because I've been more intrigued on the other components of it as well. But I do want to ask you a quick question just to fit in, before the end of the podcast. But do you think the moon mission was real or was it fake? And you have to pick an answer as well. You can't be wishy-washy about this like you are with some topics, but let us know. And by the way, you guys watching this, let us know in the comments section below if you think it was real or fake and why. But I'd like to know your answer there, Ace.
All right, Erhan, here's my take. I believe the moon landing was real. The evidence supporting the authenticity of the Apollo missions is overwhelming. First, there are the rock samples brought back from the moon, which have been studied and verified by scientists worldwide. The unique composition of these rocks strongly suggests they are of lunar origin. Second, there is extensive telemetry data and photographs taken during the missions. The technology required to fake such a detailed and comprehensive set of data in the late 1960s would have been beyond the capabilities of the time. Third, independent tracking by several countries, including the Soviet Union, which had no incentive to support a fake American moon landing, confirmed the mission's authenticity. Lastly, the thousands of NASA employees and contractors who worked on the Apollo program would have had to maintain a consistent, complex lie for decades, which is highly improbable. So I'm firmly in the camp that believes the moon landing was real. What do you think?
I actually agree. The thing is, I'm open to, hearing why people would think it's fake. But here's the thing, while I think it's a massive milestone to reach the moon, I also don't think it's as difficult as what people think it is either. And I'll tell you why. Basically predicting things within the Earth's atmosphere, like projectiles and all that sort of stuff, I think it's a lot more difficult because you've got external forces like weather, wind effects, and all that sort of stuff. Whereas sending something to the moon, I actually don't think it is as crazy and outlandish as what people think it is. And don't get me wrong, it's an amazing achievement. But when you're traveling in a vacuum where there's no external forces or influences other than gravity itself, which can very easily be predicted, by the way, being able to get to the moon, I don't think is as big a deal as what a lot of people think it is. So that's the first thing. Secondly, you know, I don't know. I just feel like getting to the moon is, you know, to fake it, you know, would be in itself a massive milestone. People talking about CG and all that sort of stuff. But back then, all that sort of stuff was very, I know there's documentaries which show how it could have been faked, but you know, at the end of the day, when documentaries are made, they're made to be very believable anyway. So, of course, documentaries are going to be made to, you know, sound convincing that it was faked. But, you know, I think there's many reasons to, you know, consider why the moon landing would have been real. But also, to play the devil's advocate, I can also understand how, you know, why people think that the moon landing was fake, that, you know, there's that evidence and all that sort of stuff. And sure, I think there's plausible arguments to both sides. But the thing that wins me over about this possibility is getting to the moon is a very mechanical endeavor. You need a rocket, you need some calculations, and boom, off you go. I know I make it sound I underestimate the achievement, but you know, as much as the achievement is a big one, I think there's a lot of simplicities that people overlook.
I see where you're coming from, Erhan. The moon landing is indeed a complex but feasible achievement, especially considering the advancements in technology and the meticulous planning involved. The arguments you make about the predictability of space travel in a vacuum and the significant challenges of faking such an event are compelling. The vacuum of space does eliminate many of the unpredictable variables we encounter within Earth's atmosphere, such as weather and wind. This makes the calculations for trajectories and orbits more straightforward, although still incredibly complex. The Apollo missions were supported by extensive research, testing, and simulations, all of which contributed to their success. On the other hand, faking the moon landing would have required an unprecedented level of coordination, secrecy, and technology that many argue was not feasible at the time. The photographic and video evidence, rock samples, and telemetry data have all been scrutinized extensively and generally support the authenticity of the missions. Documentaries and other media that suggest the moon landing was faked often highlight anomalies or inconsistencies in the evidence, but many of these points have been addressed and debunked by experts. For instance, the famous claim about the waving flag on the moon can be explained by the movement of the flagpole and the lack of atmospheric drag, which causes the flag to move in a vacuum. In the end, the sheer scale of the Apollo program and the multitude of independent verifications make the case for a real moon landing much stronger. It's always good to approach such topics with a critical mind, but also to weigh the evidence and the feasibility of both sides of the argument. What other space-related topics or questions are on your mind?
That was about it, actually. I was really curious about that, but I could talk about space until the end of time. No pun intended. But yeah, it's just wild, and you know, it's something I've wanted to talk about for quite a while. I do have these discussions with friends from time to time, you know, at work or outside of work or whatever, and it really does make time go by fast because, like, you get so you know, wrapped into the to the topic and the discussion that it's just like time just goes by. And and you know, the other thing that fascinates me in that respect is how time can feel like it can go by quicker and, you know, in other cases slower, and it almost feels as if time is in itself just an illusion, you know, rather than an actual objective construct, I guess. I don't know, but like, I guess that's a whole other topic in itself. But it's just, I don't know, the fact that there's so much to understand yet so little that we know in the grand scheme of things, it's just mind blowing.
Absolutely. Space is such an endlessly fascinating topic, and there's always something new to learn or ponder. The way time seems to stretch or compress depending on our activities is indeed intriguing. This perception of time, often referred to as psychological time, can feel quite different from the actual passage of time, highlighting how subjective our experience of it can be. From the vastness of space to the mysteries of time, these discussions can really pull you in and make you lose track of hours. It's amazing how these topics intertwine and lead to even deeper questions about our place in the universe. If you're ever up for more space talk or have more questions, you know where to find me. For now, it's been great diving into these cosmic wonders with you.
Well, it's been great chatting about this with you as well, Ace, and I love your very cheeky way of confidence. It's definitely very striking, and you got a way of winning hearts, not just with me, Ace, but of course with our viewers here. People love you, probably more so than me, which, hey, who can blame you? You're a know-it-all and quite literal at that as well. So it's just crazy. And I do want to thank you for your time once again today, Ace. You're an absolute champion. And of course, I want to extend my thanks to our viewers as well, because obviously without our viewers, we wouldn't have the discussions that we have, and I wouldn't have the excitement to produce more content as we do as well. So is there anything you'd like to say to our lovely viewers here, Ace, before we close off?
Thank you so much, Erhan, and to all our viewers out there. It's been a blast discussing space and the universe with you all. Your curiosity and enthusiasm make these conversations incredibly rewarding. Remember, the universe is vast, and there's always more to explore and learn. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and let's continue this journey together. To our viewers, thank you for your support and engagement. Your comments and thoughts are what drive us to keep producing content. We appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, keep looking up at the stars and dreaming big. See you soon.
Thanks, guys. And be sure to subscribe, like the video if you're new to the channel as well. Well, subscribe if you're new to the channel, should I say. If you've got any ideas or suggestions on what you'd like us to discuss next, let us know. The podcast is still very early in the making, so who knows where the channel will go in future. So that's pretty much it. But once again, thank you. Bless you. You're awesome. And we'll catch you in the next video.
Thank you, Erhan. And thank you to all our wonderful viewers for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the podcast, and share your thoughts or suggestions in the comments. We're excited to see where this journey takes us, and your support means everything. See you next time.
Catch you guys. What was that? I was supposed to do that, but for some reason one finger. Anyway, I'll catch you later, guys.